In the heart of South Africa, on a fateful day at a farm owned by the Johannesburg Zoo, a chilling incident unfolded that would forever be etched in the annals of the wild. The unsuspecting victim, a 63-year-old zookeeper, found himself entangled in a web of mystery as a lioness, driven by primal instincts, unleashed a fatal attack. This is the haunting tale of a routine day turned tragic, where the thin veil between man and beast was torn. Amidst the tranquil confines of the zoo's conservation farm, an eerie calm hung as the unsuspecting zookeeper carried out his daily duties. Little did he know that destiny had orchestrated a sinister twist. The setting sun cast long shadows, hinting at the impending darkness that would soon shroud the farm in a cloak of tragedy. Unbeknownst to the keeper, a series of events had been set in motion, leading to a confrontation that would change everything. As the tension mounted, the security gates, once the guardians of safety, stood ajar, an inadvertent invitation for chaos. The lioness, a majestic yet lethal force of nature, seized the opportunity presented by the open gates. Like a phantom emerging from the shadows, she crept silently, her every step a heartbeat in the stillness of the enclosure. The scent of imminent danger lingered in the air, masked by the tranquility that enveloped the unsuspecting zookeeper. As the keeper continued his routine tasks, the ominous presence of the lioness intensified, her eyes gleaming with primal determination, fixated on her unsuspecting prey. Once a haven of coexistence between man and beast, the farm now bore witness to a macabre dance of fate. The keeper's footsteps echoed in the enclosure, oblivious to the silent predator closing in. The convergence of these disparate worlds, one human, the other wild, set the stage for a tragic encounter that would shatter the illusion of safety within the confines of the zoo. The next moments unfolded with an eerie cadence as the lioness, driven by instinct, launched her fatal assault. The tranquility shattered, replaced by the harrowing cries of the zookeeper as the jaws of nature closed in. Once a sanctuary, the farm transformed into a battleground where the veil separating civilization from the untamed wilderness was irreversibly torn. The enigma of the open gates, the silent approach of the lioness, and the keeper's unsuspecting vulnerability painted a haunting tableau, leaving a lingering question of what could have been done to avert the impending tragedy. The narrative takes an ominous turn as the lioness, with a sudden burst of predatory fervor, pounced upon her unsuspecting prey. The tranquility shattered as the farm echoed the visceral struggle between man and beast. The fateful bite to the throat marked the climax of the tragedy, leaving no room for escape. The very fabric of the ordinary had unraveled, and in its place emerged a tapestry of horror. The man tried to escape but failed. Upon the rescue team's arrival, he was taking his last breaths. He died just after reaching the hospital due to severe injuries. The news of the incident reverberated through the Johannesburg Zoo, sending shockwaves among the staff and visitors alike. The enigma surrounding the circumstances of the attack became a dark puzzle, slowly unraveling as investigations ensued. The zoo, once a haven for the coexistence of man and wildlife, now bore witness to the consequences of a momentary lapse as the boundaries between civilization and the untamed wilderness blurred into a chilling tableau of nature's relentless force. The tale, although tragic, serves as a stark reminder of the delicate balance maintained within the confines of a zoo, where the primal instincts of the wild can shatter the thin veneer of safety. The mystery surrounding the lioness attack continues to linger, leaving behind a haunting narrative that transcends the boundaries of the animal kingdom, intertwining the fate of man and beast in an inexplicable dance of life and death. In the heart of the South African wilderness, a shadowy incident unfolded that sent shivers down the spines of those who heard the tale. It was a fateful day in June 2015 for a 22-year-old American tourist exploring the SA Game Park near Johannesburg. Little did she know that this adventure would transform into a harrowing tale of survival against the king of the jungle. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting an ethereal glow over the vast savanna, our unsuspecting protagonist embarked on a thrilling safari. The air was thick with anticipation, and the echoes of wildlife surrounded the safari vehicle. The American tourist, armed only with a camera, eagerly documented the picturesque landscape, unaware that danger lurked in the shadows. The safari vehicle slowly meandered through the untamed terrain in the fading light, Suddenly, a silent predator emerged from the bushes, a lioness, majestic and imposing. The atmosphere tensed as the predator fixed its gaze on the vehicle's occupants, its eyes gleaming unnervingly. The young tourist, captivated by the majestic creature, continued capturing its essence, oblivious to the impending danger. The seemingly calm lioness paced alongside the vehicle, its graceful and menacing movements. The American tourist, engrossed in her photographic pursuit, failed to perceive the subtle shift in the lioness's demeanor. The savannah, once tranquil, now harbored an unforeseen threat, ready to pounce with deadly precision. As the safari vehicle inched forward, the lioness leaped onto the car with a thunderous roar. Panic ensued as the once serene safari turned into a battleground. The 22-year-old tourist, caught in the jaws of the predator, struggled in a desperate bid for survival. The vehicle became a chaotic tableau of fear, and the savannah echoed with the haunting cries of the lioness's attack. Amidst the chaos, the driver scrambled to intervene, desperately attempting to deter the lioness, but failed. The air was tense as the problematic struggle between human and beast climaxed. The fate of the American tourist hung in the balance, with the wilderness itself witnessing a tragedy that defied the boundaries of nature and human intrusion. The incident happened due to the violation of rules. The tourist opened the windows, due to which the lion attacked and brutally mauled her to death. Resources also said that the guide was not the park employee. The driver only got injuries, which were not life-threatening. But the tourist met her fate during the medical treatment. After this chilling encounter, the safari park transformed from a sanctuary of adventure to a haunting reminder of the untamed wilderness. The once innocent pursuit of capturing nature's beauty became a dire confrontation, leaving an indelible mark on the collective consciousness. The story of the 22-year-old American tourist serves as a sad reminder of the unpredictability that awaits in the heart of the wild. Nestled in the lush landscapes of Kenya, Kivuli Safari Park was a destination revered for its diverse wildlife and stunning natural beauty. Among the most formidable residents of Kivuli were its African lions, known for their majestic presence and revered as symbols of strength across the continent. The park, sprawling over thousands of acres, offered visitors a unique glimpse into the lives of these magnificent predators. African lions, distinguished by their powerful builds and commanding demeanors, are the apex predators of the savannah. In Kivuli, these lions lived in pride, each led by a dominant male, with lionesses and their cubs forming the core social structure. Despite their regal appearance, lions are opportunistic hunters, relying on their strength, speed, and teamwork to bring down prey. Their formidable roar can be heard up to 5 miles away, reminding them of their dominance in the animal kingdom. On this sunny August day, 1997, the Wilson family embarked on a safari adventure in Kivuli. Claire Wilson, a devoted mother from Australia, had long dreamt of showing her children the wonders of the African wilderness. Accompanied by her husband Mark and their 2 young children, Ethan and Mia, Claire's excitement was palpable. They were eager to experience the raw beauty of Kenya and witness the lions up close. Their day began with anticipation as they joined a guided safari tour led by James Mutua, a seasoned guide with years of experience in the wild. The morning was filled with sightings of zebras grazing, elephants majestically roaming, and gazelles darting across the plains. Claire's children were mesmerized, their faces pressed against the vehicle's windows, taking in every moment. As the afternoon approached, James guided the tour towards a region of the park known for lion activity. The Wilsons were eager to see the lions, and Claire hoped to capture some photographs to cherish the memories. James shared fascinating facts about the lions, emphasizing their role as top predators and respecting their space. Upon arriving at the lions' territory, they spotted a pride resting under the shade of acacia trees. The sight was breathtaking. The lions appeared peaceful, yet their sheer size and power were undeniable. The pride consisted of several lionesses, their cubs playfully interacting, and a magnificent male lion overseeing the group. While observing the pride, James explained the lion's social dynamics and hunting strategies. He stressed the importance of staying inside the vehicle and maintaining a safe distance. Holding her camera, Claire captured the serene scene, her family equally captivated by the sight. However, the tranquility of the moment was soon disrupted. Unnoticed by the group, a lioness from a neighboring pride known for her unpredictable behavior, began approaching their vehicle. The lioness, possibly triggered by the car's presence in her territory, displayed agitation. Without warning, the lioness charged at the vehicle, her powerful legs propelling her forward with alarming speed. The Wilsons, caught off guard, were frozen in shock. The lioness focused her attention on the side of the vehicle, where Claire and Mia were seated. In a terrifying moment, the lioness leaped towards the open window near Claire. Her formidable jaws reached in, grabbing Claire's arm. The force of the attack pulled Claire partially out of the vehicle, leaving her vulnerable to the lioness's ferocity. Claire screamed in pain and fear, struggling to free herself from the lioness's grip. Mark and the children were paralyzed with fear, witnessing the horrific scene unfold. James immediately radioed for help, his voice urgent over the comm. The peaceful safari had turned into a desperate struggle for survival, a grim reminder of the unpredictable nature of these wild predators. The lioness's attack on Claire Wilson was a scene of raw, primal ferocity. As the lioness clamped down on Claire's arm, Mark Wilson, her husband, reacted instinctively. He reached out, trying to pull Claire back into the safety of the safari vehicle. But the strength of the lioness was overwhelming. With a terrifying force, she dragged Claire out of the car, her powerful jaws locked firmly around her. The screams of the Wilson family filled the air, mingling with the lioness roars. The children, Ethan and Mia, were in shock, their cries echoing in the vehicle. James Mutua, the guide, desperately tried to maintain control of the situation, instructing Mark to keep the children safe, while he attempted to distract the lioness. Despite James's efforts to intervene, the lioness dragged Claire away into the tall grasses of the savannah. The distance grew between the vehicle and where the lioness disappeared with Claire, leaving the family in despair and helplessness. Emergency protocols were immediately enacted. Park rangers, equipped and trained for such critical situations, were dispatched. The area was cordoned off, and a search and rescue operation began. The focus was on locating Claire and ensuring the safety of the other visitors in the park. As the search intensified, Mark and his children were escorted back to the park's headquarters, their emotions a tumultuous mix of fear, hope, and grief. The park staff provided support and comfort, trying to ease the traumatic impact of the event on the family. Hours passed, with rangers and search teams combing through the area. The park was on high alert and the tension was palpable. The search operation was exhaustive, with teams working meticulously to cover every possible area where Claire might have been taken. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows over the savannah, the search teams made a heartbreaking discovery. Claire's body was found, her injuries indicating a fatal encounter with the lioness. The news was relayed to the park headquarters, and the devastating reality of Claire's fate sank in. The aftermath of the attack was a period of intense mourning and reflection. The park authorities faced tough questions about the incident and the measures to prevent such tragedies. After being located and tranquilized by the rangers, the lioness was moved to a secure enclosure for observation and assessment. For Mark Wilson and his children, the loss of Claire was a profound tragedy. They returned home with heavy hearts, carrying memories of a safari that started with excitement and wonder, but ended in unimaginable loss.
In the heart of South Africa's Kruger National Park, a renowned destination for wildlife enthusiasts, a British safari guide, 38-year-old Curtis Plum, found himself in a life-threatening encounter that would test his resolve and the quick thinking of those around him. Plum, an experienced guide with Nhongo Safari Tours, had been navigating the rugged terrains of the park since 2011, driven by a profound passion for the bush and its inhabitants. On a seemingly ordinary Thursday afternoon, under the watchful eyes of tourist Grant Ford and his teenage son, what began as a routine wildlife observation swiftly escalated into a harrowing ordeal. As Plum's vehicle, filled with eager tourists, came to a halt to admire a majestic leopard spotted in the underbrush, the tranquility of the moment was shattered. Without any forewarning, the leopard, embodying the unpredictability of the wild, launched an attack that no one saw coming. In an instant, the predator had clambered onto the safari truck, its sights set on Plum. The guide, clad in a bush jacket that offered scant protection, found his arm ensnared in the jaws of the leopard. Panic ensued as the occupants of the truck screamed, their safari adventure turning into a nightmare right before their eyes. The chaos that followed seemed like a scene from an action movie, albeit with an unwelcome dose of reality. Some of the tourists, in a desperate bid to save their guide, resorted to using their cameras as weapons, striking at the leopard. Meanwhile, witnesses in a Hyundai minivan, ahead of Plum's vehicle, made a bold move. They rammed the leopard with their car door, a testament to human ingenuity in moments of crisis. Despite their efforts, the leopard's grip remained unyielding. Plum, faced with a dire situation, managed to reverse the vehicle, a move that momentarily freed him from the leopard's clutches. However, the animal, undeterred, continued its pursuit. It charged after the vehicle, even leaping onto the bonnet in a relentless attempt to breach the safety of the truck. Plum, with no alternative, executed a maneuver that would injure the leopard, driving over its hind legs. The minivan joined in, driving over the animal, a collective effort to neutralize the threat. In the aftermath, park officials speculated that the leopard had been engaged in a conflict with another of its kind, as evidenced by its injuries. The encounter served as a stark reminder of the unpredictable nature of wildlife and the inherent risks involved in safari tours. Plum, who had ventured from the UK to South Africa, motivated by his love for nature, found himself hospitalized, a stark outcome of his dedication to guiding tourists through the wonders of Kruger National Park. The incident, captured on camera, not only highlighted the dangers faced by safari guides, but also showcased the courage and quick thinking of tourists who rose to the occasion. Amidst the peril, there was a glimmer of humor in the absurdity of using cameras and car doors as tools of defense against the wild leopard. It was a testament to the unpredictable ways in which humans respond to danger, a story that, while fraught with tension, also captured the indomitable spirit of those who find themselves at the mercy of the wild. In the heart of South Africa's Kruger National Park, a place where wild beauty meets the thrill of adventure, the von Rensburg family embarked on what was meant to be a memorable camping trip. Amid the sprawling savannas and the echoing calls of the wild, 15-year-old Erko Janse von Rensburg found himself in the clutches of a nightmare far removed from the peaceful slumber he had expected under the starlit sky. Erko, a boy from Centurion near Pretoria, had chosen to spend the night in a separate tent, a mere annex to the trailer where his parents Erno and Cassandra and his two sisters lay sleeping, oblivious to the impending horror. The campsite, nestled within the confines of the Crocodile Bridge camp, was supposed to be a safe haven, a secure enclosure amidst the untamed wilderness. Yet fate had other plans, as a silent predator lurked in the shadows, eyeing its unsuspecting prey. The incident unfolded in the pre-dawn hours, a time when the night still clung to the earth with its cool, dark embrace. It was then that a hyena, a cunning scavenger drawn by the scent of human presence, exploited a gap in the camp's defenses, a breach possibly made by itself or an unwitting warthog. With stealthy silence, the beast approached Erko's tent, its intent as malicious as nature's raw survival instinct could dictate. The attack was sudden and vicious. The hyena, with jaws as powerful as the legendary great white shark, clamped down on Erko's face, the crushing sound of bones eerily reminiscent of crisps being trampled underfoot. Dragged from the safety of his tent, Erko was pulled across the ground, his pajama top serving as an unwilling leash for his assailant. It was a scene straight out of a horror story, played out under the indifferent gaze of the moon. Miraculously, the commotion awakened Johan, Erko's uncle, who was camping nearby. The sight that greeted him was one of sheer terror. Erko, his nephew, being mauled by a hyena, an image that would haunt the bravest of souls. With adrenaline fueling his actions, Johan did the unthinkable. He chased the hyena away, a move as daring as it was desperate. Erko's ordeal was far from over, though. Conscious throughout the attack, he was a first-hand witness to his own survival story, one that would be told with a mixture of awe and disbelief. The boy was swiftly rushed to the hospital, where he underwent several grueling surgeries to reconstruct his mutilated face. The operations, intricate and delicate, spanned hours, with surgeons working tirelessly to mend the physical scars of that fateful night. Back at Kruger National Park, the incident sent shockwaves through the community of rangers and visitors alike. The breach in the camp's security was promptly addressed, but the elusive hyena remained at large, a reminder of the wild's unpredictable nature. Park officials, while expressing regret, urged campers to adhere to safety guidelines, a plea underscored by the grim realization that the line between humans and wildlife is both delicate and fraught with danger. Hyenas, who were often seen as scavengers of the savanna, had grown bold, their nocturnal ventures into campsites becoming increasingly common. Attracted by the remnants of campfires and the lure of easy meals, these creatures had lost their wariness of humans, a shift in behavior that posed a significant risk to all who ventured into their domain. The incident with Erko was a stark reminder of this evolving dynamic, a narrative punctuated by calls for vigilance and respect for the wild's untamed inhabitants. As Erko lay recovering in the intensive care unit, unable to speak but alive against the odds, his family rallied around him. The trauma of the attack left its mark, not just on Erko, but on all who loved him. His parents, his sisters, and especially Johan, who had played the role of an unlikely hero in the darkest hour, were united in their relief and their resolve to overcome the ordeal. The attack on Erko von Rensburg at Kruger National Park serves as a harrowing tale of survival, a stark reminder of the wild's unforgiving nature. Yet amidst the horror, there were glimmers of human resilience and bravery, a testament to the indomitable spirit that defines us in moments of crisis. As the von Rensburg family looked to the future, they did so with a renewed appreciation for life's fragility and the bonds that hold them together, forged stronger in the face of adversity.
In the heart of Marikele Animal Sanctuary, where the wild whispers secrets and the shadows dance with untold mysteries, an unsuspecting visitor finds himself trapped in a dangerous dance with the Jungle King. Mike Hodge, a British safari park owner, embarked on a fateful journey into the lion's den, seeking a connection with the untamed beauty that roamed behind the bars. Little did he know that this quest for closeness would plunge him into a realm of danger and suspense that would forever etch his name into the annals of harrowing wildlife encounters. It was a warm morning on May 30th, 2018, as the sun cast a golden hue over Marikele Animal Sanctuary. The gentle breeze carried the promise of a tranquil day, but little did the spectators know that the tranquility would soon be shattered. The encroaching shadows enveloped the enclosure, creating an eerie backdrop for the unfolding drama about to take center stage. Mike Hodge, age 67, a figure of quiet determination, embarked on a journey into the heart of the lion's territory, drawn by a connection with nature that would soon take a scary turn. The atmosphere within the sanctuary seemed to thicken with each step Hodge took, an unspoken tension palpable in the air. As he approached the lion's enclosure, the onlookers, curious and concern etched on their faces, couldn't help but feel an invisible force tightening around them. It was as if the very fabric of the wild conspired to create an unsettling prelude to the impending chaos. The low hum of whispers among the crowd underscored the collective sense of foreboding, a shared intuition that something extraordinary and potentially disastrous was about to unfold. In the fading twilight, the massive male lion, Shamba, prowled with majestic yet unpredictable grace, his every movement laced with the primal instincts that define the apex predators of the African savanna. The spectators, captivated by the symbiotic dance between man and beast, were oblivious to the impending storm on the horizon. Amidst the eerie silence, Shamba's gaze locked onto Mike Hodge, a silent acknowledgement of the impending clash of worlds. The tension in the air was palpable, as if nature held its breath, awaiting the unraveling of a tale destined to be etched in the memories of those present. And then, in a sudden surge of raw power and primal fury, the colossal feline lunged at Hodge, a blur of fur and teeth that shattered the tranquility of the sanctuary. The first act of this ominous drama had unfolded, leaving Hodge grappling with the sheer force and menace that embodied the lion's attack. As the news reverberated, the ensuing scenes unfolded in a mosaic of chaos and despair. Now trapped in Shamba's relentless grip, Hodge felt the crushing power of the predator's jaws on his jaw and neck. The sanctity of the enclosure transformed into a battleground where man and beast engaged in a silent struggle for survival. The shocking video footage, a chilling testament to the wild's unpredictability, captured Hodge's desperate attempts to break free from the clutches of the lion, his every move accentuating the fragility of the thin line that separated civilization from the untamed wilderness. In the aftermath of the attack, a sad reality descended upon Maracaibo Animal Sanctuary. The staff, armed with the heavy responsibility of ensuring the safety of both human and animal inhabitants, faced an agonizing decision. Shamba, the once majestic lion now marked by the tragedy, became the symbol of a life lost in the pursuit of a connection between two worlds. Fortunately, Hodge was shifted to the hospital promptly, getting treatment for his injuries. The echoes of that fateful encounter lingered, leaving behind a haunting tale that would forever be etched in the collective memory of those who witnessed the ferocious clash between man and nature. The lion attack at Maracaibo Animal Sanctuary serves as a poignant reminder of the unpredictable nature of the wild, where the thin veneer of human control can be shattered instantly. The mysteries that unfolded within the enclosure, hidden behind the bars and shadows, unravel a narrative of danger, suspense, and tragedy. As we delve into the details of Mike Hodge's encounter with Shamba, we are confronted with the harsh reality that even in the sanctuary meant to protect, the untamed forces of nature can unleash a story that transcends the boundaries of our understanding. An ordinary day in a quiet town in South Africa takes a horrifying turn. Little did 11-year-old Christian Prinsloo know that a seemingly innocent visit to his grandmother's friend's kitchen would unfold into a tragedy shrouded in mystery. On April 8, 2017, within the picturesque landscapes of the Limpopo province, South Africa, Christian Prinsloo, a bright-eyed grade 6 student, embarked on a fateful journey that would forever alter the course of his young life. It was a seemingly ordinary day when Christian, eager to celebrate his 12th birthday at his grandmother's home, found himself in the heart of a tranquil community. As the sun painted the sky with hues of orange and pink, Christian's grandmother, filled with love and excitement, decided to treat him to a unique experience. Little did they know that this excursion would lead them to her friend's residence, which held a surprising secret: the adoption of 3 majestic lions. The air buzzed with a sense of curiosity as Christian and his grandmother approached their friend's home. Unbeknownst to them, this seemingly harmless visit would take an ominous turn. The friend, an admirer of wildlife, had adopted 3 lions, believing them to be tame companions. Eager to share this extraordinary encounter, Christian and his grandmother stepped into a world where the line between domesticity and the untamed blurred dangerously. The stage was set for an unsuspecting tragedy, a tale of innocence colliding with the wild. Little did Christian anticipate that his visit, intended to be a joyous celebration, would unravel into a heartbreaking saga, leaving the community in shock and mourning the loss of a promising young life. Christian explored the familiar kitchen at his grandmother's friend's house. A hushed whisper echoed. An unexpected guest, a tame lion, appeared from the back door. The atmosphere grew tense as the Prinsloo family grappled with the realization that danger had infiltrated the sanctity of their friend's home. Before that, Christine and his grandmother rushed to a safe place, and the tranquility shattered. The lion, defying its tame reputation, lunged at Christian. The kitchen transformed into a chaotic battleground as the boy fought for his life. The lion's jaws closed around Christian's neck, leaving him in a critical condition that would grip the community in a state of collective disbelief. In the wake of the fateful lion attack, the repercussions on young Christian Prinsloo's fragile body were severe. The 3-year-old lion, once perceived as tame, inflicted critical damage to 2 of the little boy's neck vertebrae during the horrifying encounter. The repercussions were immediate and dire, thrusting Christian into a desperate fight for his life. With a sense of urgency, Christian was swiftly transferred to Pretoria Hospital, where a team of medical professionals endeavored to navigate the complex aftermath of the savage lion assault. Recognizing the gravity of his injuries, doctors made the difficult decision to place Christian on life support, initiating a delicate dance between hope and despair. To facilitate his recovery, Christian was induced into a coma, a medically induced slumber aimed at granting his battered body the time and space it needed to heal. However, the road to recovery was far from smooth. The extent of the brain swelling presented a formidable obstacle, preventing doctors from undertaking the necessary surgical intervention. Despite the medical team's unwavering efforts, the grim reality unfolded during scans. There was no discernible brain activity. The once vibrant spirit of Christian teetered on the precipice between life and death. Tragically, after 3 agonizing weeks of this harrowing struggle, the inevitable occurred. Christian's soul departed his fragile body, leaving behind a community shattered by the profound loss of a promising young life. This heartbreaking saga serves as a stark reminder of the unpredictability of life, as a seemingly innocent encounter with a tame lion spiraled into a tragedy that would forever echo in the hearts of those who knew Christian. The tale of Christian Prinsloo serves as a chilling reminder that even in the most unexpected places, danger may lurk, waiting to unveil its secrets. Nestled in the heart of Zimbabwe, Zawadi Nature Reserve was a sprawling expanse of wilderness that boasted some of Africa's most spectacular wildlife. Known for its lush savannas and dense woodlands, Zawadi was a paradise for nature lovers and adventure seekers. Among its most revered inhabitants were the African lions, majestic creatures that roamed the plains with an air of undisputed sovereignty. African lions, known for their robust builds and imposing manes, were the quintessential symbol of the African wild. They were social animals, living with pride and exhibiting complex social behaviors. In Zawadi, these lions were a significant draw for tourists, attracting thousands each year who hoped to witness their majesty firsthand. Despite their allure, these predators commanded respect. Their powerful physiques and predatory instincts made them formidable beings in the animal kingdom. On this fateful day in September, 2 women, Linda Michaels, a British schoolteacher, and Anne Richardson, a freelance journalist from the United States, embarked on a safari adventure in Zawadi. Linda, passionate about wildlife and eager to experience the African wild, has dreamt of this trip for years. Anne, with her keen eye for captivating stories, was on assignment to document the wildlife of Zimbabwe, hoping to capture the essence of these majestic creatures through her lens. Their journey through the reserve began under the golden African sun, with their guide, Simba Moyo, a seasoned expert in the ways of the wild. The morning was filled with awe-inspiring sights: herds of elephants gracefully treading the landscape, playful baboons frolicking, and graceful giraffes towering above the trees. Linda and Anne were captivated, their cameras clicking away as they soaked in the beauty of Zawadi. As the afternoon approached, Simba led them toward an area known for frequent lion sightings. Anticipation grew among the group. Seeing the lions in their natural habitat was the highlight of any safari in Zawadi. Linda's excitement was palpable. She couldn't wait to see the pride leaders, while Anne was focused on capturing the perfect shot that told the story of these magnificent beasts. Upon reaching the lions' territory, they spotted a pride resting in the shade. The lions appeared calm, almost indifferent to their human observers. The pride consisted of several lionesses, a few cubs, and a dominant male, his mane a testament to his status within the group. Linda and Anne observed in silence, respecting the tranquility of the scene. However, unbeknownst to them, another member of the pride, a young and impulsive lioness, was lurking nearby. Unseen by the group, she observed the humans with curiosity and instinctive caution. Simba, aware of the unpredictability of these wild animals, reminded the group to stay inside the vehicle and keep quiet. Linda caught up and leaned out slightly for a better view. This subtle movement did not go unnoticed by the young lioness. In an instant, the dynamic shifted. The lioness, interpreting Linda's action as a threat, launched into a swift and ferocious attack. The lioness leaped towards the vehicle, her powerful body propelled by solid legs. Linda, caught off guard, had no time to react. The lioness grabbed her with her mighty jaws, pulling her out of the vehicle with terrifying force. Anne and the other tourists screamed in horror, witnessing the brutal attack unfolding before their eyes. Simba, acting quickly, tried to distract the lioness, but the attack was relentless. The lioness dragged Linda a short distance away, her jaws locked firmly. The pride, alerted by the commotion, began to gather around, adding to the chaos and danger of the situation. As the park's emergency response team was alerted, the reality of the horrific scene hit everyone. The serene safari had turned into a life-and-death struggle, a stark reminder of the problematic nature of the wild. The attack on Linda Michaels by the young lioness was swift and brutal, unfolding within moments yet feeling like an eternity to the horrified onlookers. As Simba Moyo, the experienced guide, radioed for emergency assistance, he simultaneously attempted to intervene, but the situation was beyond his control. The lioness, driven by instinct, had inflicted severe injuries on Linda. Linda, caught in the powerful grip of the lioness, was subjected to the full force of the animal's predatory might. The lioness's jaws, armed with sharp teeth, clamped down on Linda's upper body, causing deep lacerations and puncture wounds. The sheer strength of the attack resulted in critical injuries, with Linda's arms suffering extensive damage as she instinctively tried to protect herself. Anne Richardson and the other tourists in the vehicle could only watch in terror and disbelief. This tragic encounter starkly displayed the brutal reality of nature's raw power. After a few harrowing moments, the lioness was finally distracted by the efforts of Simba and other park rangers who arrived quickly at the scene. The emergency response team, well trained in handling such critical situations, immediately attended to Linda. Her condition was dire. She had lost a significant amount of blood, and her injuries were life-threatening. The medical team provided first aid to stabilize her as much as possible before rushing her to the nearest hospital. En route to the hospital, Linda's condition deteriorated rapidly. Despite the medical team's best efforts, the extent of her injuries and the loss of blood were overwhelming. Linda succumbed to her injuries before they could reach the hospital, leaving those who tried to save her in a state of shock and grief. The Zawadi Nature Reserve Management, deeply saddened by the tragedy, launched a comprehensive investigation into the incident. They reviewed safety protocols and examined the circumstances that led to the attack, determined to prevent any such occurrences in the future. In the wake of the tragedy, the reserve increased its safety measures for safari tours, introducing stricter guidelines for tourists and enhancing training for guides. The park also initiated new procedures for monitoring the behavior of the animals, particularly those known to exhibit unpredictable behavior. Linda's death became a sad reminder of the unpredictability and inherent risks of interacting with wild animals in their natural habitat. Her passion for wildlife and adventure, which had brought her to Zawadi, was tragically cut short in an encounter that highlighted the delicate balance between human curiosity and the untamed nature of wildlife. As the reserve and the wider community mourned the loss of Linda, her story became a poignant reminder of the respect and care necessary when venturing into the world of wildlife. Her unfortunate encounter with the lioness left a lasting impact, serving as a cautionary tale for all who seek the thrill of the wild.
The dawn chorus of Kruger National Park was in full swing as Rudy Lorist, a seasoned trail ranger known for his deep respect for the African wilderness, prepared to lead a group of 8 tourists on a bushwalk that promised to be the highlight of their visit. At 32, Rudy had spent almost a quarter of his life walking the trails of Kruger, each step deepening his understanding and appreciation of this vast, untamed landscape. The group, a mix of avid nature lovers and adventurous souls, gathered around Rudy, hanging on his every word as he outlined the day's journey. With Philip Gumedi, his reliable assistant, at his side, Rudy felt a familiar thrill. This was more than a job, it was his calling. As they set off, the park unveiled its morning treasures, a giraffe peering down curiously at the group, a herd of impala gracefully bounding away, and a myriad of birds adding a symphony of sounds to the crisp morning air. Rudy's eyes sparkled with the joy of sharing these moments. His enthusiasm was infectious. The tranquility of the morning was abruptly pierced by the sound of rustling in the bush. Rudy's instincts kicked in, signaling him to halt the group with a raised hand. Silence fell, a tension-filled silence that made even the air seem heavy. Emerging from the thicket was a lioness, her gaze fixed on the group, her body language not of curiosity, but of warning. Rudy's heart skipped a beat. Not from fear, but from the responsibility he felt for his group's safety. The lioness was not alone. Her cubs played in the background, oblivious to the standoff. Rudy knew they had to retreat to give this majestic creature the space she demanded. He whispered instructions, his voice calm but firm, as he and Philip began to guide the group backward, every step measured, every breath held. But the lioness advanced, her movements deliberate, her eyes never leaving Rudy. In a decisive moment, Rudy fired 2 warning shots into the air, hoping to deter her. The group watched in frozen anticipation, but the lioness, perhaps propelled by the instinct to protect her young, charged. Rudy's training had prepared him for this moment, yet nothing could truly prepare a person for the raw power of a lioness in full charge. He stood his ground, the protector of his group, as the lioness closed in. The world seemed to slow down, every detail magnified, a testament to the human brain's capacity to sharpen focus when faced with imminent danger. The lioness pounced, her powerful body colliding with Rudy's. He felt the weight of her, the heat of her breath, and the ferocity of her being. She bit down on his forearms, the pain sharp but distant as adrenaline coursed through his veins. Rudy fought back, not with anger, but with a desperate will to survive, to ensure the safety of the tourists who trusted him. The struggle was intense, a whirlwind of dust, roars, and shouts. Then, as suddenly as it began, the lioness released Rudy, retreating back to her cubs. The group, led by Philip, had maintained a safe distance, their eyes wide with shock and awe. Rudy was bleeding but alive, and was immediately tended to by a tourist who happened to be a doctor. First aid was administered as a temporary balm to the wounds that ran deeper than flesh. The park's medical team arrived swiftly, airlifting Rudy to Nelspruit Mediclinic, where he would spend days recovering, both physically and mentally. In the days that followed, Rudy reflected on the encounter, not with bitterness, but with a renewed sense of awe for the wilderness he called home. The lioness, in her display of maternal fierceness, had taught him a lesson in respect, a respect for the wild, for its inhabitants, and for the delicate balance that allowed humans and animals to coexist in this vast, untamed landscape. Rudy's recovery was not just physical, it was a journey that deepened his connection to the park, reinforcing his commitment to conservation and education. The encounter, while a testament to his bravery, served as a poignant reminder of the park's wild nature, a reminder that would guide him in his continued efforts to bridge the gap between humanity and the wild. In the expansive wilderness of South Africa's Kruger National Park, a heart-wrenching tragedy unfolded that would leave a family shattered and a community in mourning. The serene beauty of this vast reserve, known for its majestic wildlife and breathtaking landscapes, was the backdrop to a horrifying incident that claimed the life of a young boy, barely 2 years old. Courtney Ntamani, the son of Isaiah Ntamani, a technician employed within the park, was the victim of a rare but fatal attack by a leopard. The events leading to this tragic outcome began innocently enough, with the family enjoying the comforts of their bungalow located within the staff quarters of the park. As darkness enveloped the park around 8 p.m., a time when the wild's nocturnal inhabitants awakened, the unimaginable happened. Isaiah, having stepped inside their residence momentarily, was oblivious to the imminent danger lurking in the shadows. Courtney, following his father with the innocent curiosity of a toddler, became the target of a stealthy predator. The leopard, seizing the opportunity, launched an attack from the darkness, its powerful jaws clamping down on the unsuspecting child. The father's return to the outdoors was prompted by a chilling scream, a sound no parent ever wishes to hear. The sight that met Isaiah's eyes was one of pure horror. His beloved son, held captive in the jaws of the leopard, being dragged toward the perimeter fence. Fueled by desperation and terror, Isaiah's scream startled the leopard, causing it to drop Courtney and retreat to the safety of a nearby tree, from where it had initially descended. Despite the parents' frantic efforts to save their son, rushing him to Shangway Hospital in Mpumalanga, the severity of Courtney's injuries proved too great. The doctors could only confirm what the parents feared most. Courtney was pronounced dead upon arrival. The news of his passing sent shockwaves through the community. A tragic reminder of the precarious balance between humanity and the wild. In the wake of the attack, the Kruger National Park authorities took immediate action, tracking down the female leopard responsible for the attack. The decision was made to euthanize the animal, a measure deemed necessary to prevent future tragedies. This decision, while difficult, underscored the harsh realities of life near wild predators and the unpredictable nature of their interactions with humans. The investigation into the attack revealed that the leopard was in prime health, with no signs of injury or disease that might have explained its aggressive behavior. This detail only added to the mystery of the incident, raising questions about the factors that could drive a seemingly healthy animal to attack a human. The funeral for young Courtney was a somber affair, attended by many who knew the family, including fellow KNP Rangers. The community came together to mourn the loss of a life taken too soon, offering their support and condolences to the Ntamani family. Isaiah, heartbroken and bereft, struggled to come to terms with the loss of his son, his grief compounded by the vivid memories of that fateful night. In the aftermath of the tragedy, the leadership of the South African National Parks issued statements expressing their deep sympathy for the Ntamani family and acknowledging the inherent risks faced by those living and working near wild animals. They reaffirmed their commitment to the conservation of wildlife, while also recognizing the need for increased vigilance and safety measures to protect park staff and their families. The incident highlighted the unpredictable nature of wild animals, even those that may appear habituated to human presence, and the tragic consequences that can arise from this coexistence. As the Kruger National Park community mourned the loss of Courtney Ntamani, they were reminded of the fragility of life in the shadow of the wild. The tragedy served as a poignant call to action, prompting discussions on how to better safeguard those who live within the boundaries of the park, ensuring that such a heartbreaking incident would not be repeated. The memory of Courtney, a young life lost too soon, would linger in the hearts of all who knew him, a somber testament to the unpredictable and often perilous interface between humans and the natural world they seek to preserve.
In the tranquil enclave of East London Zoo, the ambience shifted with a subtle blend of nature's symphony and distant whispers of the bustling city beyond its confines. Strolling beneath the ancient canopy of towering trees, visitors felt a sense of enchantment as dappled sunlight filtered through leaves, creating a mosaic on winding pathways. Lush foliage adorned the landscape, providing a canvas for vibrant blooms that added splashes of color to the serene surroundings. However, in April 2015, amidst the seemingly idyllic scenes, a shadow loomed over the zoo. Reports of animals confined in small, barren enclosures hinted at a darker side, challenging the picturesque facade with a sobering reality. The juxtaposition of enchantment and confinement painted a complex portrait of East London Zoo, where the balance between the allure of wildlife and the ethical treatment of its inhabitants became a nuanced narrative in the heart of this captivating sanctuary. As darkness settled, the zoo took on an otherworldly ambiance, and the unsuspecting man, drawn by an inexplicable force, approached the lion enclosure. Whispers of curiosity and fear blended in the cool night breeze, creating an unsettling symphony. The man's silhouette was barely visible against the moonlit backdrop as he ventured closer, guided by an unseen impulse that would soon lead to a horrifying encounter. The lions prowled in the obscurity within the enclosure, their golden eyes glinting in the shadows. The atmosphere crackled with an unspoken tension, foretelling an imminent collision of man and beast. As the man breached the boundaries, a collective gasp swept through the witnesses, frozen in the surreal theater of unfolding doom. The first contact was swift and brutal. The lions, guardians of their territory, unleashed a ferocious response to the intrusion. The echoes of the chilling encounter reverberated through the night, shattering the illusion of safety. Panic ensued as the man's desperate cries for mercy merged with the primal roars of the lions, creating a macabre crescendo that echoed through the zoo's desolate corridors. Amidst the chaos, the moon cast an ethereal glow on the tragic tableau. The man's fate was sealed, and the lions retreated into the darkness, leaving behind a haunting stillness. The zoo, once a sanctuary of wonder, now bore witness to a grim reality. A man mauled to death, a cautionary tale etched into the annals of East London Zoo's dark history. As the first rays of dawn illuminated the aftermath, a somber hush lingered over the zoo, where the mysteries of that fateful night remained, locked within the jaws of the untamed. The merciless body of the tourist lay on the floor. Later, a staff member recounted the swift brutality with which the lions descended upon the unfortunate soul. The victim, defenseless in the face of nature's raw power, fell prey to the relentless assault. The male lion tore into his neck with a savage determination that left an indelible mark on the witnesses' minds. The tragic tale served as a stark reminder of the thin veil that separates fascination from peril, a cautionary tale that would echo through the corridors of the East London Zoo for years to come. In the heart of Tanzania, amid its sprawling savannas and shadowed by the majestic Mount Kilimanjaro, lies the Mawaridi Safari Park. Renowned for its rich biodiversity and breathtaking landscapes, Mawaridi was a jewel in the crown of Tanzanian wildlife reserves. The park was a sanctuary for a wide array of animals, but it was most famous for its population of African lions. These majestic creatures, symbols of strength and nobility, roamed the plains, their manes glistening under the African sun. Among the most respected animals in the animal kingdom, lions are known for their social structure, living in groups known as pride. In Mawaridi, these prides could often be seen lounging lazily in the sun or hunting in coordinated groups. Despite their seemingly relaxed demeanor, lions are apex predators, skilled hunters known for their power and agility. On this fateful day in July 2005, two tourists, Emily Harris, a seasoned wildlife photographer from Australia, and Sarah Johnson, a biology teacher from Canada, embarked on what was supposed to be the adventure of a lifetime. Emily's passion for capturing nature's beauty had brought her to Mawaridi, hoping to photograph lions in their natural habitat. With her love for biology and wildlife, Sarah was eager to observe these magnificent creatures up close. Their day began with excitement and anticipation as they joined a guided safari tour. The morning was spent marveling at the variety of wildlife. Herds of elephants gracefully moving across the landscape, zebras playfully frolicking, and giraffes elegantly reaching for leaves atop tall trees. The knowledgeable and experienced tour guide Joseph Mwanga shared fascinating facts about each species, making the tour both educational and thrilling. As the afternoon approached, the tour's highlight was next, the lion pride of Mawaridi. The excitement in the vehicle was palpable as they neared the area known for lion sightings. Emily had her camera ready, hoping to capture the essence of these magnificent predators, while Sarah's eyes were wide with anticipation, eager to witness the social dynamics of the pride. The safari vehicle slowly passed through the tall grasses, with the guide and tourists scanning the horizon for any signs of the lions. Suddenly, Joseph's trained eyes spotted a pride resting under the shade of an acacia tree. He skillfully maneuvered the vehicle for a closer view while maintaining a safe distance, understanding the importance of respecting the lion's space. Emily and Sarah were in awe as they observed the pride. The lions, primarily females and cubs, lay sprawled out enjoying the afternoon sun. A few cubs played under the watchful eyes of their mothers. It was a peaceful, almost idyllic scene, showcasing the natural world's beauty and tranquility. Emboldened by the calm demeanor of the lions and driven by her desire to capture a perfect shot, Emily leaned out of the vehicle slightly, her camera clicking away. Sarah, absorbed in watching the interactions of the pride, noted their behavior and the subtle communication between the members. However, the serenity of the moment was about to be shattered. Unseen by the group, a lioness slowly approached the vehicle, separate from the pride and known for her unpredictability. The next moments would turn their awe-inspiring experience into a fight for survival. The lioness, her eyes fixed on the unsuspecting tourists, moved with a stealth that belied her size. She charged at the vehicle in a sudden burst of speed, targeting Emily, who was closest to her. The attack was swift and brutal. The lioness leaped, pulling Emily out of the vehicle with terrifying strength. Her powerful jaws clamped down on Emily, dragging her away from the safety of the group. Sarah, Joseph, and the other tourists screamed in horror as the scene unfolded. Joseph, experienced but shaken, immediately radioed for help while trying to keep the other tourists calm and safe. The peaceful exploration of nature had turned into a life-threatening emergency in mere seconds. With Emily in her grasp, the lioness retreated a few meters away, her powerful jaws still locked onto the injured photographer. The pride, alerted by the commotion, began to stir, adding to the tension and fear of the situation. As the park's emergency response team was alerted, the other tourists in the vehicle were left in shock and disbelief. What started as a journey of discovery and admiration quickly descended into a grim reminder of the wild's unpredictable and dangerous nature. The brutal attack on Emily Harris by the lone lioness sent waves of panic through the Mawaridi Safari Park. Joseph Mwanga, the guide, tried to maintain calm among the horrified tourists while desperately calling for backup. His years of experience in the wild had taught him the importance of staying composed in the face of danger, but nothing had prepared him for an incident of this magnitude. As the emergency response team raced to the scene, Sarah Johnson, still in shock, attempted to provide first aid to Emily. Her training as a biology teacher had included basic medical knowledge, but the severity of Emily's injuries was beyond anything she had ever encountered. The lioness had inflicted deep wounds, and Emily's condition was critical. Meanwhile, the park rangers arrived with medical personnel. They quickly assessed the situation, realizing the immediate need to secure the area and provide medical attention to the victim. One of the rangers, adept in handling wildlife emergencies, distracted the lioness, drawing her away from Emily and giving the medical team a window to approach safely. Emily was swiftly attended to. Her injuries were severe, with deep lacerations and loss of blood. The medical team worked diligently to stabilize her condition so she could be transported to the nearest hospital. The urgency and efficiency of their response were commendable, reflecting the park's preparedness for such unforeseen events. Back at the park headquarters, the management team was in alarm. The attack was unprecedented, and the safety of their visitors and the park's reputation were at stake. The park director and the wildlife management team immediately investigated the incident. They needed to understand how a leisurely safari had turned into a life-threatening situation. The lioness, now separated from the tourists, was tranquilized and taken to a secure enclosure for observation. She was a known member of the park's lion population, but her sudden aggression was puzzling to the wildlife experts. They speculated that a protective instinct or an unexpected provocation could have triggered her behavior. In the hospital, Emily's condition remained critical. She underwent multiple surgeries, and her road to recovery was expected to be long and challenging. Sarah, who had been by her side since the attack, remained a pillar of support, feeling a deep connection and responsibility towards her fellow tourists. In response to the incident, the park authorities revised their safety guidelines and implemented stricter measures for safari tours. They introduced additional training for guides handling emergencies and increased the number of rangers on patrol during tours. The incident had been a harsh reminder that even in controlled environments, wild animals are unpredictable. Months later, Emily, still recovering, spoke out about her experience. Despite the trauma, she harbored no resentment towards the lioness or the park. Her passion for wildlife remained undiminished, but she had gained a more profound respect for the untamed nature of these majestic creatures. The attack at Mawaridi Safari Park became a case study for wildlife parks worldwide, highlighting the need for balanced coexistence with nature and the importance of preparedness and respect for the wild. For Emily, Sarah, and the others who witnessed the attack, that day in the park would forever remind me of the fine line between awe and danger in wildlife tourism.
In the dense wilderness of Kruger National Park, nestled in the heart of South Africa, an ordinary Tuesday morning on December 20th, 2022, transformed into a life-altering event for 57-year-old Ranger Joe Nkuna. Nkuna, a seasoned guardian of the park's vast biodiversity, was undertaking his routine patrol in the Pretorius Cup section, along with his fellow rangers. The tranquility of the morning was shattered when a breeding herd of elephants emerged, crossing the road right before their eyes, a common yet always awe-inspiring sight within the confines of this natural sanctuary. However, peace quickly turned to peril as the rangers maintained their distance, respecting the colossal creature's passage. One elephant broke away from the safety of its herd. With a suddenness that belied its massive frame, the elephant turned, its eyes locking onto Nkuna. Before he could react, the elephant charged with a speed and ferocity that belied its massive frame, a terrifying testament to the unpredictable nature of the wild. Nkuna's colleagues, witnessing the horror unfold, sprang into action. In a desperate bid to save their comrade, they fired a warning shot into the air. The sound, sharp and echoing, was enough to deter the elephant, sending it back into the bush from whence it came. The immediate danger was averted, and they quickly called for help, their training kicking in during this critical moment of need. The response was swift. A helicopter carrying a doctor and a support team cut through the sky, arriving on the scene with urgency. Nkuna by this time was in a dire state. The medical team worked feverishly to stabilize him before transporting him to the nearest hospital. The severity of his injuries was such that he was placed on life support in the intensive care unit at a private hospital in Johannesburg, marking the beginning of a long and arduous journey to recovery. Barbara Creasy, the Minister of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment, took time to visit Nkuna in the hospital. During her visit, she found him to be in surprisingly good spirits, despite the gravity of his situation. Nkuna, with 32 years of service as a ranger under his belt, expressed an undiminished passion for his work and an eagerness to return to the bush, a testament to his resilience and dedication to conservation. Creasy commended his bravery and assured him of his vital place within the conservation family, highlighting the dangers rangers like Nkuna face daily in their efforts to protect South Africa's natural heritage. The attack underscored the inherent risks of working in close proximity to wild animals. Elephants, generally peaceful giants, can become aggressive under certain circumstances, such as the presence of calves or during the must period in males, when testosterone levels spike and behavior becomes unpredictable. This incident served as a stark reminder of the unpredictability of nature and the bravery of those who choose to protect it. Head Ranger Catherine Dreyer, reflecting on the incident, expressed relief that Nkuna was not fatally wounded. She acknowledged the daily dangers faced by field rangers and emphasized the importance of their work in safeguarding the park's wildlife and natural resources. The bush's density, particularly during certain times of the year, can make it challenging to see animals from a distance and react in time, further heightening the risks involved in their duty. The incident prompted a review of safety protocols for rangers on patrol, aiming to enhance their protection without compromising their essential work. The commitment of rangers like Nkuna and the quick response of his colleagues and the medical team highlight the dedication and courage that underpin conservation efforts in Kruger National Park. As Nkuna's story spread, it served not only as a cautionary tale, but also a source of inspiration. It reminded those within and beyond the conservation community of the sacrifices made by individuals like him, who face the dangers of the wild with an unwavering commitment to preserving the natural world for future generations. Nkuna's journey from a harrowing encounter to a hopeful recovery embodies the spirit of conservation, a relentless pursuit of protection and preservation against all odds.